But before we get into any of that, let's begin with a big happy birthday or happy anniversary to the Xbox and the GameCube.
That's right.
20 years.
2001, baby. November 15th, 2001 for the Xbox. And I want to say the GameCube was maybe a week before or a week after. They were literally right around that time. And I don't know about you, but I definitely had some great memories. I remember...
November 18th.
Oh, November 18th. 3 days. 3 days. Okay. Yeah. That's crazy. But I remember getting a pre-order. I pre-ordered it from Electronics Boutique, which was... I wasn't working there at the time. I was in college at the time. But yeah, throwback.
Electronic Boutique.
Yeah, before it was EB Games and before it was bought out by GameStop. I worked at the one in the Smith Haven Mall in the food court, and it was fantastic. It was a great team. Love those guys. And I went in to talk to my old boss, and I was like, "Hey, I want to pre-order the GameCube," and he was like, "All right, well, it's going to be $200. I think it was like $200 plus 3 games plus an additional third-party controller." That was how they were doing it. So I got Tony Hawk 3.
Bundles.
That's
so
right.
They were doing bundles.
They were doing bundles. Yeah, it kind of sucked.
Did you hate it? Did you hate it as much as you hate bundles now?
Yes. Well, maybe not as much, but I definitely did hate it. At least it was stuff that was useful. So I got Tony Hawk 3, I got Madden 2002, and I got Super
Madden.
Monkey Ball. Yes.
So you got Madden.
I did get Madden. Well,
even 20 years ago, they knew they had to package it with Madden.
I got it to well, you were able to pick 1 or 3 of the 6 launch games. And I got Madden so me and my brother could play. I got Tony Hawk because Tony Hawk's awesome. And I got Super Monkey Ball because I thought, or it looked like a really good game, and it turned out to be a fantastic game. So those were my 3 games. I think there was maybe a memory card in there too because you need a memory card to save. And I still have it, I got this like cheap-ass third-party controller. It wasn't an official Nintendo controller. It was like a Mad Catz or one of those kind of knockoff ones, and it was like not great. But I love my damn GameCube. It was fantastic, great little system. I don't have that GameCube anymore. I still have the controller, but I don't have that GameCube anymore. I have another black GameCube.
Well, what about the Xbox? Got any good Xbox memories from back in the day?
Yes. So when I went back home, I got my job back at Electronics Boutique again, and I bought an Xbox specifically for Jet Set Radio Future because I love that series. I loved it on Dreamcast, and Dreamcast was no more at this point, and all of Sega's.
This is the Dreamcast too.
That's right.
Xbox.
That's right. So Sega, Microsoft were really close. So you had Panzer Dragoon and Toe Jam and Earl and Sega GT and Jet Set Radio Future and a bunch of other games.
Shenmue 2?
That's right. Shenmue 2. Yeah. And Jet Set Radio Future, loved it. I thought it was a great reimagining of the first game. That's exactly why I bought it. And it's funny because I was the only one of the employees who had an Xbox. And my boss went to a company conference, and he came back with a bunch of stuff. And because I was the only person who had an Xbox, right, he didn't know what to do with the Xbox stuff, which was a copy of Unreal Championship and a subscription to Xbox Live with the headset before Xbox Live launched. It was a free year subscription to Xbox Live. And I asked my boss, I said, Leo, hey, can I have the Xbox Live and the Unreal Championship? Nobody else has an Xbox. Can I have it? Right? And so it was like, I wouldn't be fighting anybody for it. No one's going to care about it. Everyone was kind of shitting on the Xbox like it was just a glorified computer with a hard drive. Nobody was taking it seriously. And I was like, oh, well, I like Jet Set Radio. There's some cool stuff on there. It's got the built-in modem, and the online stuff was like right around the corner. So I got it, and it took a lot of convincing because my boss was like, well, I was just going to throw it in the garbage, but I suppose you could have it.
Make any sense? I think he was just playing with you. He was always going to give it to you. He
No,
wasn't throwing it in the garbage.
no,
That doesn't make any sense.
No. I mean, he was definitely playing around, but that's just kind of how he was. He was like, all right, fine, you can have it. So, yeah, man. So, I mean, those are like launch memories, right? Well, I guess the Xbox I got in 2002, so I got it like I don't know, mid 2002, maybe April or May, like right before the Xbox Live launched. Is when I got my console. So it was a little bit after, but yeah. Do you have any memories from what was that, the seventh generation? Is that right? Sixth generation?
Seventh. Well, yeah, six. Yeah, because seventh was PS3 and Xbox 360.
That's right. So any
And
good
then eighth
memories
was
from the
PS4,
sixth generation?
and then PS5 is the ninth. Okay,
That's right.
so at this point, I'm not really a gamer anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like I sort of was after the N64, right? I knew about the Dreamcast, but I wasn't into the Dreamcast, and I sort of, I'm getting older. I'm fresh out of high school. I'm starting. My money is limited because I don't really have a job. So, video games or clothes, right? So that's like
You gotta go video games, Dan.
I should have went video games, but no, I went clothes.
You can play games naked. That's all I'm saying. You can play games naked.
Should have went
no
clothes.
one will care.
I went more clothes, because because you can't try to talk to the ladies butt naked. They'll run from you.
You would end up in jail.
Yeah, yes.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point.
So I chose clothes. I wasn't really a gamer, but I knew some things that were going on. Like I wasn't in the know.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, my aunt, I bought a house eventually. Right. We're not talking launch, by the way. We're talking a little bit later, a couple years after launch.
Sure.
And my aunt and her son, sort of lived with me, right, in another part of the house. And my cousin had the OG Xbox and a bunch of games. And that was when I first played Halo. And I was like, this is amazing. I'm sitting on the floor because, kids, back in those days, the controllers were wired to the system.
That's right.
And I'm sitting on the floor playing Halo, and I thought Halo was amazing. I was like, Halo is like the most amazing game I ever played.
Halo was the shit, man. Halo was the shit.
I loved playing the original Xbox games. And every now and then I would pick him up a game. Like if he asked me, hey, like, can you get me a game here and there? Like, and I would get him some games and play it. And I would get games that I knew, like Sonic, right? Like, I would get the Sonic collection and stuff and play it on. I love Sonic. I still have it downstairs in a box somewhere, but I can play it on the next generation hardware. So I had no problem with the Duke controller. Because I have big hands. I'm a basketball player. Like, my hands are big. So I had no problem with the controller. I didn't have any friends that were gamers to talk to. So I didn't know the Duke controller, the size was an issue for people, right? I didn't even know there was another controller, the S controller. I didn't know anything about that.
The S controller came out a little bit later, yeah. Yeah, the model that I got came with the S controller, and I was so happy. I'm like, oh, thank God. Because I spent a lot of time playing Halo with the Duke controller, and I got used to it. But it's tough.
All right. Tough. Well, at this time, NES controller is out. Because this is not launch, and he's like, I want to buy S controller. I have no idea what that means. He's like, the controller is fine, no biggie. I thought I loved the commercials because it brought me back. The Xbox commercials back in the day brought me back to the Sega versus Nintendo type of thing. Right. I was always a PlayStation. I was a play because I love my PS1. I wanted, I had a PS2 mostly to play DVDs, but I had PS2 with Dragon Ball. I love Dragon Ball Z, Budokai 1 and 2. Right. So I love the fighting games. I love the racing games. So I love my I love my PS2. The Xbox I have fond memories of. Didn't have a GameCube. I have no I have no nostalgia for the GameCube. I like the GameCube now as an adult, as a collector, and I wish I would have known the GameCube back then. But I have no memories of the GameCube.
Oh man,
I could talk about.
Yeah, it was a good time, man. It was a good time. Tiny little console, only $200. It was $100 less than the PlayStation, $100 less than the Xbox, right? And it had the 4 controller ports on there. It was $200.
How much was that? The Xbox was $300.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Really, I didn't know. I didn't.
Well,
again,
it had.
I bought the PS2 Slim. Right. So I had the Slim version.
That's when it had the discount, I think, by that point. But
yeah. And
the Xbox. And
I didn't buy the Xbox. My cousin had the Xbox.
Right. So the Xbox came with an 8 gig hard drive, and it came with a built-in Ethernet adapter in there. So that kind of added to some of the expense, as well as a bunch of off-the-shelf PC parts. Right. It was the most powerful console at that time, so you were definitely paying for it, and not to mention that Microsoft, I believe, had to pay Sony for like DVD licensing rights or whatever, or something like that. So there was some cost that was factored into the system because of the licensing from Sony. So that kind of raised the price up a little bit. I may be misremembering the facts, but I think there was some of that going on. So
I do have the dongle that goes in.
Oh, for the little remote control. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I will say this.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's funny how you now shit on their OG Xbox.
Yep.
You really do. I love the original Xbox. I still love the original Xbox.
Well,
I think
it had some issues. I think
the original Xbox is the second most underrated console of all time.
Let's not bring this up again. But I know.
Behind the Saturn. The Saturn is number one. Most underrated console of all time. The original Xbox, and right behind that, the Wii U.
I mean,
top 3.
I will say this. I'll say 2 things. The controller was god-awful. I'm sorry. The Duke controller was terrible. And it had the 2 ports on the back and a giant jewel in the middle for no reason. But they did kick the door open. They continued what the Dreamcast started with the online connectivity that was built into every system, right? They went with broadband out of the gate, and they were really forward-thinking with it, right? It was a console that could do upwards of 1080i out of the box, so it had high-definition capability, which was awesome. And the online service was the best at the time, and they kept reiterating on it. Well, by the time he got to the 360, it was even better. And by the time he got to the Xbox One, it was king. You know, it was the best. It's the best online service around in terms of connectivity, in terms of the UI, the UX. I mean, just they did everything right, I think, with that. And they're now, in my eyes, I think they're they're kind of the gold standard of how to do online gaming, right? So I will 100% give Microsoft that.
I think you underrate Xbox exclusive games for the original Xbox, right?
There were some.
It's more than a Halo machine. They
It took them a while to get there, though.
Well, it took the PS3 a while to get to the point that, where they sort of, kind of won the generation, but it doesn't feel like it because, in numbers.
In overall sales numbers by the end of the generation,
Yeah, right? So it took PS3 a while to get there, but at least they got there. And I think the OG Xbox, I think games and franchises on there, you sort of overlook or underrate. And I think... I think if you take another look, you would feel a little bit differently about it.
I trust me, I have. Right? I mean, it's like you did get Ninja Gaiden or Gaiden or however you want to say it. Sure, you got the continuation of the Dead or Alive series, which kind of continued
all
on
the
Sega
games, Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2.
Yeah, right? You did have that. They basically bought BioWare. But
I know you aren't a Fable fan per se, and that's fine. But people love Fable.
Hate it.
People, okay, but people love you. You can't deny that people love Fable.
People do.
Sure. People do. It has this fan base.
They're wrong, but you're right. You're right.
They have their fan base. It's their again, the Sega games, the Shenmues, the Jet Set Radios. Okay, so it was the Dreamcast 2 in that way, right? Yeah. Jade Empire, BioWare, right?
Another
Jade
BioWare
Empire was
game,
great.
yeah.
Right? Elder Scrolls, right? Like that was the best place to play Elder Scrolls 3.
Well, no. PC was the best place to play it. There was a lot of bugs. It was the only place to play it on console.
Well, there you go.
The only place.
There you go. There you go. The Oddworld games, right? The Oddworld games, Stranger's Wrath, and I can't think of the other one off the top of my head.
Right.
That was Project Gotham Racing, right? I think that was the Sega game too, right?
It started off, I think, on Sega as Metropolis Street Racer, maybe. Yeah, I think that was the original one.
Chronicles of Riddick,
Chronicles of Riddick was fantastic. The Escape from Butcher Bay. Amazing. Yeah, that was actually a really good game. So
yeah, see, right? Dead or Alive, the fighting games from Dead or Alive, the volleyball games from Dead or Alive,
right? Yeah.
Okay, and I know you're gonna make fun of this, but it was a good game. Fusion Frenzy was a great game.
No, Fusion Frenzy was trash, Dan. It was
a great game. I'm sorry.
I went back to play that recently because it was one of the games. I went back to. It was one of the games they featured with the Series X backwards compatibility, and it was the first game I went back to try, and it's terrible. It does not hold up. It is firmly 2001 aesthetics where they want to be like the Matrix with the cool techno music and all the hip characters, and it's not even a second-rate Mario Kart. It's or Mario Party. It's a fourth-rate Mario Party.
Okay. For someone who doesn't like Fable, I can't take your opinion seriously. I'm sorry.
Go back and play it, man. You'll see. Go back and play it.
I have. Yeah, you know what? Blinks the Time Sweeper was okay.
Okay. We're not talking about okay. We're talking about bangers. 10 out of 10s. Come on.
You know what? It banged. It banged. Bang is a word I would use in the sentence to describe Blinks the Time Sweeper.
So I know we're trying to wax nostalgic on Xbox. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you all that. There were a lot of cool games on there. I owned just about every single one of those games that you mentioned. Actually, I think everything except for the volleyball games. I ended up owning originally back in the day and now have in my collection now. So happy 20th anniversary to Xbox. Happy 20th anniversary to GameCube. You're almost old enough to drink.